folk horror has been making its rounds for many years now. It's no stranger to the big screen or the little screen, and we've got another one for you here today that is pretty unsettling. So let's get into it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we have a new movie that's coming out on the 26th on demand and in theaters called Starvacre. And it's starring Matt Smith, the old Doctor Who, doing some pretty dark stuff here. Folk horror, like I said, has been coming back like in so many different waves. We're getting so many different vibes of it, and we're getting a lot of slow burns here as of lately, and folk horror and slow burns seem to coexist in this space that work really well together because they create this really unsettling atmosphere, and this is another one that does really well with that. It's a UK film actually produced and made by the BBC One. This is a movie that was directed by Daniel Kokotayo, not 100% how to say the name, but I'm pretty sure that's accurate. It's based off a novel of the same name called Starvacre, which is the name of this place that they go to that has pretty much just moors all around it, like, you know, the mud and everything that's all around their place. And it's a novel by Andrew Michael Hurley. It's a very popular book and it's a very easy read. I've heard that it's actually pretty close to the book in a lot of ways, although I think they might have taken some changes and done some things in this one. And I think it's pretty competent. I like some of the stuff that's in here. There's some things that I'm not amazed with, but also kind of love about this movie. So what is Starvacre all about? It's about a man and a woman who have a child that are living in the city and decide to go to the middle of nowhere to live in a small village, really let their son grow up in a world that is different than the city life. And they decide to go back to the father's home house, which has a little bit of history to it that has highly impacted his life, and some very strange things that he uncovers and start to affect his son. A tragedy happens, and soon the whole world starts to unravel around them in this very folk, kind of Lovecraftian, pagan, supernatural vibey film that's done very differently, like Pet Sematary vibe to it. It's kind of a similar story in that regard, as far as like the family going out to the middle of nowhere to, you know, settle their roots and just kind of take care of business. There's some things in the beginning of the movie that the child does that the parents have a hard time rationalizing with. This movie has a tendency to take the past and kind of piece it together with the future, pretty much the fear of the past, and blends it with the current days. But yeah, things start to get really kind of awkward. There's like paranormal stuff going on in this film that really they did a really good job with. They kind of like to ground things in a way, but there's some very obscure kind of mind-bending stuff that happens in this film a little bit. Twist reality just enough, but keeps it grounded enough to make it feel kind of real, a very grounded supernatural way. The lore that's in this movie is pretty heavy. Peel back the layers like an onion and you start to see that there's more to the picture than meets the eye. At first thought it was going one direction. It does shift a little bit into this really kind of weird, almost Lovecraftian way. I don't want to overspeak that term because I think it's used a little too much, but it does have that sort of old earth, like old gods kind of feel to it that folk horror does traipse in quite frequently, which I think Matt Smith and Morford Clark and Aaron Richards and everybody that was cast in this movie do a really good job making it feel omnipresence and this sort of very unsettling thing that unfolds. The husband is losing his mind after this tragedy. The wife is losing her mind. Everybody's kind of in a weird state that's kind of dreamlike in a way. And when other characters come in or are introduced into the picture, they sort of are kind of navigating through these really weird, twisty, vine-connected like darkness in this world that they're living in. So they're kind of like this outsider looking in. There is also going to be a lot of questions that people are going to have with this movie. We're dealing with parents, family issues, what you think of your child if it did something bad, what you think of your child if you lost it, and there's just a whole lot going on in this movie, but it's very grounded, like I said, and it's gonna be quite a slow burn for most people. Although I feel like there was enough dialogue and character development in the film to kind of push this one along, so it isn't as like slow as some people might find it. But yeah, if you have an aversion to slow stuff, yeah, you might not want to. A lot of the scenes they show of the Moors is just fantastic. It looks really different than other movies I've seen recently, and they do it in this sort of picturesque sort of way that it has like this painting kind of feel to it, like an old painting, which it is really unique. As far as like, is this going to be a movie for you? If you're into folk horror, I think you will greatly appreciate this. I think there's enough of a supernatural element in this film that isn't done in any particular way that you would think of a supernatural film. A lot of people aren't fans of folk horror sometimes, and I urge people to kind of go outside their boundaries, you know. But yeah, I actually kind of enjoyed it. It didn't blow me away, but there were some moments in the film it's hard to shake. There's this vibe about it. Now I want to be clear, this isn't going to be like crazy supernatural, like ghosts like popping out of corners and things like that. It's just this kind of ominous presence that kind of lingers in this movie. You're really kind of watching the characters sort of fall apart and deteriorate by this whatever thing that is going on, and so you're not really sure who and what is actually happening the whole time, but there's like this metaphor that's like kind of tucked in there and kind of makes, you know, certain things represent other things. So yeah, if that makes sense. It's not a gory film either. It doesn't have like, you know, it does have blood in it just a little bit, and it does have some darker moments in it, but you're really kind of going in for the story. There's nothing too shocking, although the very end is going to kind of trip you out probably a little bit, because you're going to be like, what the fuck? Like I was. I'm somewhere at like a 7 out of 10. It didn't feel obligatory, even though there are definitely going to be questions that you'll have afterwards, some metaphors that connect with the old world and the new world. It's a different film, you know, you're not going to get everything answered for you in this one. So if you know that going in, you can kind of experience it and kind of pick it apart with your own mind. Maybe you can find more. I still think it's a valuable watch. Like I said, it is actually coming to theaters and on demand July 26th this year, so you can watch it for yourself. But, you know, I would love to hear what you guys think of this movie, and, you know, sound off in the comment section down below. Are you a folk horror fan? Have you become a folk horror fan? Because I think I'm starting to kind of like really enjoy these kind of movies every once in a while. I can't do them back to back so much because, you know, I like to mix things up to make everything kind of feel fresh, maybe clean out my palate like they do with like smelling coffee beans before you know, try different wines and things like that. It's just one of those things I like to do in smaller doses over the course of the year. It really changes things a little bit. Yeah, I would love to hear what you think about this movie, the story and everything like that. And a big shout out to Brainstorm Media for allowing me to watch this. I really appreciate the opportunity to check this movie out, to let you guys know about new movies that are coming out, no matter what type of movie they are. We've got a lot of slow burns, you know, recently, but we'll have other ones too. A lot of different movies in the making, because I'm also going to be doing Fantasia festivals, so be on the lookout for some new videos. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. Hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this video, and as always, long live the void.